I'll probably get brownie points for this.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Tom. This is
I'm
Talking
George.
Investing. Here with George. He's just finishing up something, so he'll be in and out for a few minutes, and then he will be joining us. So, not a great afternoon for Bitcoin.
Unless you want to buy.
Yeah, unless you got all your money out and you're waiting for it to crash and so that you can buy it. Otherwise, not good. So I just pulled up my my most recent Bitcoin chart with my lines. I got this one. None of any of this looks good, but I'll pull it up anyway.
I'm trying not to laugh.
Hey Rob, how are you? Hey JM.
All right, buddy. Good playing with you. I'll see you. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Jeff says George is back.
Hey, I want everybody to know during this run, Tom will admit, I have not said that it was time to buy Bitcoin. I want everybody to know that right now. Didn't it? You're not gonna give the yes, that's true?
That is true. George has been telling me we're not at the bottom yet. We're not at the bottom yet.
I said we still haven't seen my 29. I don't believe it.
Said
there's just no way.
I circled this, although I wouldn't call it a circle. That's today.
Georgie Porgy. How's everybody doing? Uh-oh, 39.6 broke support.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a happy camper. So let me go to a smaller, let's get rid of this mess I just created. Let me go to like the 2 hour.
What is this? What'd you do there?
So I basically just, each one of those candles was 1 day. Now each one is 2 hours. So this has been a significant line of support for us. And I just wanted to break it down into the 2 hours to show, like, we are right now going below that. Let's go 1 hour. Yeah, so if this looks like the first 1 hour candle that isn't even touching this line at all. So that is not good. I want to get back above this line. Because although these two lines look really close, they're not. They're $2,000 apart.
Hang on a second. Hey, put in an order for 5,000 Bitcoins, would you guys? Okay, thanks. Okay, I took care of it.
Just 5,000?
We should be able to hold it. Huh? 5,000. I just bought 5,000. We need to maintain that support. Does anybody think Putin was the person who invented Bitcoin now? That's my question. That's the question of the day. Does anybody think Putin invented Bitcoin? I guess there's a big rumor some guy named Danny Penna, is that his name? He calls himself the $1 trillion man.
Sorry, Ryan.
My wife is Ryan. Is it half? Really, Ryan? Is it really half? JM, I hear you.
Well, as long as it's stock, then it could come back. But if it was options...
Snowden.
And I do some
Snowden
options.
invented it? I don't think so. He's saying Snowden invented Bitcoin.
Well, if he did, he really blew it. He shouldn't have done any of the other stuff. He should have just sat on his Bitcoin
He has a
money.
miserable life, too.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's been a tough road.
I never said the bottom was 43K. Never. Never. I've never said, well, I mean, you mean like a year ago? Or like, I don't know, a week ago.
That's right. I'm right. It just depends on which time you're talking about.
You still am saying Snowden invented? Wow. I forgot that Snowden is over there in Russia.
Is that where he ended up? He was in an embassy somewhere else for a long time.
No, that was Julian Assange.
Oh, Was it? Yeah, you're right.
Oh, what? Did you hear that, East Coast?
They're all the same.
No, I never. I am the only reason I'm nervous. I've been nervous about Bitcoin was because of a few different reasons. One, I think that this could be the last time they actually make the push, and keep the price down. And then after this month, it goes ballistic. There's two schools of thought though. That school of thought did not have a war going on.
Yeah, that's really thrown a wrench into the system here. And not just, let's just take a 1 second sidetrack.
That's funny, Jeff.
NASDAQ's down 1.6, so trading day's over. NASDAQ was down 1.66. Russell, 1.55. Dow, who cares? S&P, 0.79, so not that bad. But an all-around down day. I think we rallied to get back to these numbers at the end of the day. The only thing that did not rally is Bitcoin, which this was 7 o'clock this morning, Eastern time. So 2 hours before the market opened. Or was that yesterday? Oh, sorry, that's yesterday. This is this morning. This is the market open right here. So this purple line is where... No, it's not. This was supposed to be yesterday's market close. Hold, please. Oh, I'm on the 4 hours, so it's... I gotta go back to my half hour, or else my lines
Gavin
don't
Wood.
work.
I'm gonna look up Gavin Wood. I don't know who that is.
There we go. So if you go from where we closed yesterday was right here. So we are down 10% from when the equity markets closed yesterday until when they closed today. So when you look at it that way, the Bitcoin miners actually didn't do that bad, because that was a 10% drop in Bitcoin itself. So if you look at, I just pulled up, let me pull this out a little further so you can read here's the Bitcoin miners. Bitcoin did worse than the Bitcoin miners did. Of course, this is about the only day that's true. Usually it's the opposite, and I know everybody is frustrated with that. JM says, Kathy Wood said 60K short term. So we're good, LOL. Yeah, she seems to be right about... She's really on a roll.
She's right about everything.
She's more of a long-term investor, unless it's Palantir, and then she's sold 100% of all of her. Lord Sailor says bye. Yeah, I think that's every day though, so that doesn't count. He's always a buy.
Stark saved my AZZ for the last 3 months. What is Stark?
That's shorting the ARK investment fund. There's a fund basically shorting the ARK investment fund, essentially.
Oh, that's really funny.
Yeah, that's what kind of run she's having right now. It's not easy being her.
Don't pick on her just because she's a female.
Yeah, no, you know that is not true. Awkward Soul said, hey, Tom, can you give me 5 stocks that will explode in 2022 that you haven't made or talked about yet, please? If I have 5 stocks that were going to explode in 2022, I would have talked about them. So I would like to be able to do that for you, but I'm still looking. Trust me. Every time I find something, I do a video on it. So if you look at my I've done a lot of... I have done videos on probably 30 or 40 different companies, so the vast majority of those are companies that I am bullish on. There's a couple in there that I was not.
What about somebody saying RMO?
Okay, yes, Rob.
Releases.
So I'm going to give a preview. I'm going to do a video on this. I listened to the earnings call last night, and so I'll do a video and dig a deep dive, but I'll give you my short answer. I think once I managed to wade through all of the nonsense they were talking about, I think they're in really good shape. I hold that stock. I'm long on it. I bought more of it. I think they're terrible at communicating.
$1.37.
Yeah, they're giving it away. It's unbelievable, and they just don't communicate very well with their investors. They do have, I think it was the CFO. He jumped in a couple of times and tried to, straighten things out and clear things up a little bit, and that helped. So, their sales increased dramatically in the fourth quarter, and they're going to increase dramatically in 2022, but they have a major change in the way of doing business and what they're really not telling us. So the one thing I'll tell you right now, and I'll talk about it on the video, they have a concentration of risk. So that is going to be in their financial footnotes because it has to be. They must have one massive customer and I think it's Nikola. And so they changed the way that they're providing their product to Nikola, where Nikola's buying the battery cells. So that's coming off of their income statement. So, when they gave forward guidance in revenue, it looked a lot lower than everybody was expecting. But that's just because essentially Nikola's buying that part of the whole and then, giving it to them on consignment to put in to return the full completed unit. So it's a little confusing, and it does seem like they're probably not making as much money as they would have otherwise. However, Nikola was able to get a bunch of battery cells, which Romeo was having a hard time doing, so I don't blame him for doing it. Anyway, long story short, I bought more. This is not financial advice, but I ended up buying more. I think at the end of the day, that company is headed in the right direction if they can stay out of their own way, in my opinion. So it also sounds like Glenn asked the same question, so hopefully that answers that question.
A lot of 50%. A lot of portfolios are down 50%.
It's rough. I believe it. And it doesn't have to just be because they're in Bitcoin miners. If you're in small cap high growth, everything's down massively. Almost every company I do a video on is down somewhere between 70 and 90% off of their 52-week high. I mean, that is staggering. I've never seen this situation before. Cameron, the first thing I would suggest is don't sell. If you have stock and they're down 50%, everything is beaten down. I don't know what your stocks are, but if you feel good about the stocks, don't sell them. That's what I'm doing. I don't, Romeo's one, it's down to $1 something. I started buying that at, I think, $5. But, I still think it's a $10 stock. Might be 3 years from now. So if you can, don't, because as soon as you sell that money's gone. And then what you're hoping is, hey, I'm going to pick a good one the next time. But the thing is, if you keep selling them before they get to where they're going, you just keep losing money. So sometimes you just got to buy and hold. I know that's not how we're used to doing anything anymore in this world. It's a very fast-paced world, and the buy and hold strategy is tough. But when something heads in the right, if the stock's heading in the wrong direction, but the company's heading in the right direction, you gotta hold on and wait, in my opinion. Oh, Awkward Souls asked me about SoFi. I have been digging into them. I'm very tempted to buy them at their price. Somebody in the Discord asked me a few days ago, and I said, I think they're about to have a big pullback, and they did. Pretty much everything did. So that is getting close to a buy for me. My concern with them is cash flow and debt. So they're a complicated company. It's pretty tough to get your brain around everything that they're doing and follow the cash and make sure they're not going to need to dilute their stock massively between now and then.
Did you see the new high of oil?
Oh no, let's go there. Holy cow. almost $115 a barrel. Well, everybody, let's just invest in oil. Thanks for showing up. It's been great. Have a good week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where. I mean, come on, that's crazy.
That is insane and scary. So, and you know,
Well, maybe people don't remember, but it was $133 that cracked the last economy in 2008.
we're pretty
what
close to
happened
that
was-
right now.
Yeah, 133. So interest rates were a little higher than what they are now, but not much higher, were they? They were probably
They were, I mean, they were a little
4.5.
higher.
Yeah, they're a little higher, but I mean, so everybody thinks that if it gets to 133, it's gonna break it.
Zero Views says, please tell me Cleanspark's a 10 bagger, then I can sleep again. Thanks. Well, I can't tell you it's a 10 bagger, but I can tell you this: I have not sold any of my position in Cleanspark, and I added to it again today. So I'm with you on Cleanspark. I think there's very good things ahead for that one. Cameron's saying Cleanspark's 90%. Yeah, I mean, my position's not that big, but it's one of my big positions. It's one of my top 3, and I'm adding to it. So, you know, nothing has changed there. They came out, they had a good February. I did a video on that if you guys watched it. I think I just did that yesterday. They had a good February, and I don't see any change in the story at Cleanspark. It seems like they're headed in the right direction. Awkward Soul, I'm just reading your list. That's a heck of a list. I know some of those companies I don't know. But
I thought he didn't have a seizure.
Huh, who?
Awkward Soul. I thought he had a seizure.
With that message,
Yeah.
I'm copying it down, so I got that for later. I'll take a look at some of those. I can tell you some of them I've looked at extensively. Bark's an interesting one. Hims is a pretty popular one. Honest is the one I'm really on the verge of doing a video on out of that whole list. So that one could be next. I'll look at those other ones. I don't know OUST. Maybe I should. Let's just see what it is right now. It's not. I mean, it's $523 million market cap. What's happening? My screen isn't loading for some reason. It should be telling me who these guys are. So I'll have to come back to that because I don't know who they are. Just taking a quick check at the Bitcoin.
Did you see what Jeff wrote?
What Jeff write? Oh,
Jeff,
thank
chat.
you. Thank you. I appreciate the super chat. I've jumped into the supermarket stocks back in November. They've gone ballistic. Definitely a look to buy in a dip, recession, depression. Yeah. That's a great idea. Who's out there? I'm thinking like Whole Foods is owned by Amazon now, I think.
Yeah, they are.
So
Is Publix traded now? Yeah, I'm sure they are.
they're traded, but they're traded in some way that is not, you can't go onto your Robinhood and buy Publix.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, Jeff, I appreciate the tip. If you got anything in specific, I'd love to look into it. Freight's going to get more expensive.
Freight's going to get out of control.
Said East Coast. That is true, I'm sure. Ryan's asking me, are you still interested in Fubo? Growth is impressive, but profitability is way off. Yes, I am very interested in Fubo. I did not buy that today. I own that in the 10K challenge. I own some options. I was going to add to them, but I think there's still a little bit of downward pressure left, but that stock is oversold. I am very big on Fubo. I know they need to start making money, and they're a couple years out from that, but they have a formula that's different than everybody else, and from everything that I can see, I think that is going to be a very successful company. So, and they're down to $7 and change. I mean, they were at $60 at one point within the last year, and that was probably too high. That was when things were nuts, but they spent a long time at $30, which is where I think they belong, and now I think they were at $7.30 one point today. So that is ridiculous. So yeah, I'm definitely still keeping my eye in Fubo, and I do have some options in the 10K challenge for Fubo. Nate, wonder why any showed such relative strength today. The only reason that I can think of that any was up today, and sometimes these anomalies happen, and I try to dig into them, it's just been so beaten down so many days in a row. I mean, it was at like $1.90 at one point yesterday. So I don't know. I didn't do a deep dive to research. Up 6%. It can't be anything too material because that is a nice day on a down day, but it's not like it didn't go ballistic or anything. And same thing with Cypher. I don't know why that held its own today, other than it's way oversold. I was hoping that would get beat up with everything else today because I don't have a position in Cypher and I'd like one. Rob, you're saying if Fubo dips Monday, I'm buying more. That could be the dip that gets me in. I almost did today, but I didn't do it, and there was so much going on today that I just left it alone.
Hydrogen. Tom's big in hydrogen, by the way. He loves it.
I think that hydrogen is going to have its day, and it's not soon, but when it is, it's going to take over. Also invest in hydrogen in the near future. That's Rob. So are you in fuel cell? What are you in? There's 3 or 4 hydrogen plays that are pretty common, and I did ride fuel cell up for like a 5x. I won't say a long time ago, like a year and a half ago maybe. And since then, I feel like it's been at a tough. I can't find the right entry point. Oh, Kroger. Excellent. Thanks, Jeff. Sprouts. Yep. Yeah, that's a great recommendation from Jeff. Thank you. Jeff's also saying Fubo is niche sports. I'm waiting for them to get into wagering. I know, and they bought that part of the business. That's going to be a part of the equation. So, and I think now's the time to get in ahead of when they get that up and running, because then everybody's going to be jumping on the bandwagon. Ryan's saying Helion. I think Helion. I like Helion only because it's so horrendously beaten down, and a lot of these EV plays are. There's two kinds of. Well, this week there's one kind of EV play, the kind that got destroyed, but there's the big. That was all of them, unfortunately. But the small cap EV stocks have been getting beat up for almost a year now. And Helion is down ridiculously. And I actually own XL Fleet. They don't do the same thing, but I would say they're in the same general vicinity. And so I like both of those companies, and they're both super oversold. Awkward Souls saying FCell is a cheap buy. So I'm going to take a second look at FCell. I've every time I want to do it, it's all of a sudden it's up 8% that day, and I hate chasing stuff. So maybe I need to put that higher up on my watch list. Nate's saying, I agree about hydrogen. Eventually, hydrogen fuel cells, their only emission is a tiny amount of good old H2O, water. Green and yeah, it's totally, totally green. And as it happens, we have a lot of hydrogen on Earth. So we're probably not running out of that anytime soon. Or else we'll cease to exist.
So
there's 2 or 3 stories that happened on some Bitcoin miners today. The first thing is, I don't know if you guys saw, I'm going to go to this chart. I don't know if you guys saw what Wolf did today. Is anybody investing in Wolf? Terra Wolf? So, I hope not, because if you are, yeah, really, this was March 1st. So today's March 4th. These guys are down 46% throughout this week.
whoa, they took them out, huh?
And here's the thing, and I'm kicking myself. If you look, this must be this morning, because they did a press release just before the morning, and there was a huge jump. And I didn't buy. I was going to buy some puts. It was the most bogus press release of all time. They've been getting crushed for a few days, so they put out a press release that said, "Hey, we started mining Bitcoin." They didn't say, how much or where or how many machines. So, that's not a real press release. If you our facilities started running, would you plug one machine in? I mean, you guys know how these press releases go. They'll tell you if they had plugged 1,000 machines in and they were legitimately mining Bitcoin, they would have said so in their press release. They just generically said, coincidentally, after 2 days in a row of getting destroyed in the stock market, they just so happened to start running their facility this morning. So people bought that for about a half hour, and then you can see they sold it for the rest of the day. It's down 28% from that's not even quite its high. So down about 30% just today, and down from the open to the close, down exactly 20%. So that is a total beatdown, and I don't know why it was. I gotta tell you, I've been asleep at the wheel on this one. That one has been so overpriced, I still would not buy it right now. There's only a few of these that I'm worried about buying that are on my list, and that is one of them. And the ones I'm getting more and more concerned about buying are the ones that because that might end up being a grand slam home run. The companies that aren't up and running yet, the investors are just running away from them. So whereas it might be an awesome long-term investment, I'm very nervous over the next 90 to 120 days for companies like Wolf and Cypher that, they're not doing anything yet. And
It's kind of funny. Do you have any Bitcoin? Sorry. So, are you going to talk about DMG?
Oh,
was it DMG?
Digihost.
Or Digihost? Was it Digihost? Oh.
Wow, I can't believe I forgot that already. Yeah, so are any of you guys in Digihost? Just drop us a note in the chat if you're investing in Digihost. If
Glad
not,
I got out.
I got a good feeling about what they did. So I did a video today on what Digihost did, and it was I saw a press release this morning that just absolutely shocked me. So Digihost is, let's go look at them real quick. I know there's some DigiHost fans. I don't know if you're here with us right now, but I know we got some people on the Discord that are invested in this, and I'm invested in this. All right, while we wait for my machine for some reason. So they're about an $80 million. There you go. They're $80 million market cap. And today, DigiHost establishes $250 million at the market equity program. So they have a shelf offering for $250 million. They're an $80 million company. I've never seen anything like that in my entire life. So let me know if you guys have ever seen any company do something like that. You know, when companies do an at the market, that usually makes investors very nervous, and oftentimes it's only a 10 or 15% dilution, and that gets people nervous. They're going to have to issue 3 times as many shares as they currently have to get to $250 million. Now, they don't have to do that all today. It's good for 2 years, so if their stock price goes up dramatically, they can mitigate some of that. But this is a massive, massive. I've never seen a company even double their market cap on a shelf offering. This is quadrupling it. It's crazy. Having said that,
what about that 10 million? I see 2 days before that they got 10 million.
Yeah, they got 10 million. Great. Now they got 250 million. And I know what they're doing, and I go through it in the video, and I actually I think it's a good move. If they can pull it off without having to sell their stock for $1.50, you know, if they can stay in this $4 a share price range and raise that kind of money, it's going to be good for them because they're a step behind right now, and this will help them catch up. So it's a company that I like. They seem to be executing. They're doing what they say they're going to do, but I'm just afraid, you know, with the difficulty level continuing to increase, and, you know, at some point the reward's going to get cut in half for Bitcoin, and there's some people that are going to get left out. So I think this gives them a good shot.
Is rumor has it they're talking to New Miner? It's just a rumor.
I think you just started that rumor right now. We're big fans of the New Miner machine on the channel.
New Miner. I think I'm gonna, when we're at the Bitcoin conference, I think I'm gonna get a shirt. It says "Proud maker of New Miner."
Yeah. Can we invest in that?
The shirt? That would be really funny to do, though. New Miner. It's the future. When? We have no idea.
Nate, to answer your question, from everything that I can tell about the Intel ASIC chip, it is, all things it looks like it's a little bit more energy efficient, but all things considered, I'm not sure it's any better than what's going on right now. I'm glad to see him get in the game. I think it's going to create some competition, and that will help these companies bring the price down on these miners, which have gotten just spiraled out of control. So I think for the industry, it's a good thing, but I'm not worried. Hut and Bitfarm are 2 big positions for me as well. I'm not in the least bit worried. Those S19J Pros are great, and you know, we'll see what the Intel and AMD. I mean, AMD's already doing the GPUs. So, but Intel is doing an ASIC.
That should be the shirt. Nude Miner. Where the machines are invisible. Nice one. Correction, I'm any speculator at this point. That's so true.
Yeah.
Has anybody, Tom, has they published anything about their merger? Any?
I've heard no word on the merger. That seems like the most dead in the water merger. and there's been no new word on these machines. There was a huge buzz for a week, like, what the heck are these machines? But having off the record talked to a few people that know better than I do, not too many people believe those machines are what they say they are. So, and that was, you guys all know, that was my immediate knee-jerk. I put a video out 5 minutes after I read that article. It just, to me, there's no way that, you know, that's my opinion, but I do not believe in the new miner, the NE/3 Sphere 3D / Griffin new miner ASIC.
Did you interview the CEO of that company? Or does that get postponed?
Oh, well, I've got who I'm going to interview, and actually now they're going back and forth with me. I had a date on the calendar. The CEO of Hive blockchain. So I'm looking forward to that. It's supposed to happen March 15th.
Oh, okay.
So,
you guys got any questions?
Yeah.
For Hive?
Frank Holmes. And it's him and the CEO, whose name I'm forgetting for some reason right now.
How long can they let that merger talk linger? Because any doesn't mine any Bitcoin, correct, Tom?
Right.
So how long can they let that merger just sit out there and make it seem like they're going to merge?
Well, you can see their stock has, other than today, which for some reason it rallied a little bit, their stock has gotten destroyed. You remember when you wanted to warn people because it was getting up around $8 or $9. Well, you know, It's $2 now, so the damage has already been done. Ryan's saying, I like that CleanSpark is selling Bitcoin to pay for operations, especially with Bitcoin in a downtrend. What's your thought? So, and I did, if you guys want to check out my video on CleanSpark, I did a little bit of a deep dive on that. They talked about, and I did also, I talked to Isaac from CleanSpark, and I have an interview there. So we talked about this concept a lot. And they're talking about, selling Bitcoin as needed. They want to be cash flow positive. They don't want to have to dip into their equity. They have a shelf offering out there that they could have been using for the last year. And they're not saying that they're not going to use it and they're never going to use it. But what they are saying is, for now, we'd rather sell our Bitcoin. And their CFO is working with a few banks on some traditional or more traditional financing. So they would much rather, focus on if they could hold some of their Bitcoin, use some of it. And remember, the Bitcoin they need to sell to cover operations is minimal. What they're really selling the Bitcoin for is for new machines and infrastructure, because, their margin on the Bitcoins is massive. So overhead is just a few Bitcoin a month. More than a few, but nowhere near what they're selling right now. The last 2 months those are their 2 biggest months of selling Bitcoin since inception. So I think they'll dial that back a little bit and start splitting it closer to 50-50. GRWG. I'm afraid I'm going to have to look that one up.
Tommy Guns.
Tommy Gunn. That was Rocky 5, 4, something. I got a feeling I know what this is.
Marijuana.
operates retail hydroponic and organic gardening stores in the United States. It engages in the making and distribution of horticulture, organics. Huh, that's not what I thought they were. I thought they were what you were going to say.
Well, they support that basically.
Right. They're upstream from that. So I got to look into these guys. I don't know them either. I mean, these are reasonable size. This is obviously these are small companies, but $448 million is, you know, that's a reasonable small cap company. So I'll dig into them. I don't know. I don't want to answer anything because I don't know. Oh, here you go. Top marijuana stocks on the NASDAQ for March 2022. So I guess they're making all the stuff that supports the... Are they making any money? It looks like they are. It looks like they're planning on making some money. So that's a good thing. Small growth this year, but decent growth next year. So I don't want to comment on this yet because I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'll look into it.
Does George have a YouTube channel? Who, me, George? I have a YouTube channel. It's called Poop Dynasty.
He's not kidding.
Nothing better than a good poop. Poop Dynasty.
You guys should check that out. At one point, George was doing a reality show, and it was pretty popular. We've been.
Let's say I'm still bigger than Tom.
I've been out with George in random places, and people recognized him from his reality TV show. So it's.
I own a company called Emergency Water Removal, and I'm one of those. And we ran into some hoarders and some cat hoarders. That was probably the funniest. Well, the most disgusting one.
That's the best one though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. We had millions of views. But you know what? I don't know. It didn't get me anything. Got me a hot wife.
You already had.
Smoking hot, right, honey? She doesn't answer anymore.
SDIG, I'm looking into them big time also. Who was it that mentioned that? Nate. I like what these guys are doing, something that nobody else is doing. So I want to make sure it really is what they say it is. It's extremely... If it is what they say it is, they're the most environmentally friendly company in the world. So, you know, but I don't want to buy the hype if it's not real, but it looks to me like it's amazing. I am going to do a video on them for sure because what they're doing is wild. And I think they're going to make money doing it on top of it all, so...
$2 million views. I should look up Social Blade and see how many. Did you look it up on Social Blade?
Did you just switch over to your Poop Dynasty?
No, that's what I.
That's what.
I have that when you know what I mean. I talk.
Yeah, that's the name of George's. We got a lot of random questions today. It's funny.
That's good.
There's certain days I have stuff that's not Bitcoin that I want to talk about and nobody wants to hear it, but today seems like people are on all over the place.
Day. Today is no one wants to talk about the elephant in the room, which is Bitcoin is going down.
They don't want to talk about this here.
Yep.
Right here.
No one wants.
I see some green. It's all turning around now.
It's all turning around. Woohoo!
Hey, listen, if we could get back above this line, that would be a beautiful thing because it would be nice if this line holds. on a 4-hour candle or something like that. Otherwise, it's $2,000 down to this line. And I don't want to do that unless we do it very quickly over the weekend and get it over with and get back on track on Monday. So I bought a bunch today. I bought into
I saw that. You were going nuts.
I bought some stuff on the 10K challenge, and I bought some stuff in my other accounts. We had on our Discord. Hold on. Join our Discord. There's a link in the description. So on our Discord for Platinum members, I give an option every week. And we had one that I bought in the 10K challenge that it's exploded. So I was able to basically I took, and I still held some of it, but I took a lot of profit from that and bought some new stuff. So that was, and the option was Viacom, which is now Paramount. So it used to be VIAC, and now it's PARA, Paramount. And now they got to where they're going, so I'm not sure I would get into that at this point, but it was a very quick run to where, I was hoping it was going. So that worked out nicely. And it allowed me to buy some other stuff because everything else is on sale. So many things are at their 52-week low. So I'll wait for the video on the weekend where I do my 10K challenge thing. But I did buy one altogether new stock that I have never even talked about. So Awakened Soul, I do have one stock that I have never talked about and I will tell you that it's EV charging station company, and it's most likely not.
I know what it is. He's talked to me about it.
You might not even know because
really?
There's
it's another charging station.
There's several charging stations, and I really dug and did the math because I was getting ready to buy one, and I switched because I think there's another one that was a better deal.
You switched, really?
I did.
So it's not that one. I am the pooper scooper. This could be the funniest stream we've ever had.
I don't have any dividend stocks, which is not normal, Rob. So thanks for asking. I know that a lot of people like to have some safer dividend stocks, and they can be a beautiful thing, but I'm into so many high growth things right now, and the small cap high growth stocks have gotten taken out to the point where I can't see putting my money in anything else. I mean, there's good companies down 90%. That's not going to happen very often. Awkward Soul, Beam, yes, I'm still in Beam, and I'm very happy with what they're doing. I think that's it's not the one that I bought, but that's true. That's a EV charging station. So I already did own one of those. Well, I bought another one, but that's a good question. Yeah, I'm still very bullish on Beam. So they've been beaten up in a way that's ridiculous. They have yet to even begin to come back. They're up a bunch, but that's just the beginning, in my opinion. So I'm holding my Beam.
You reading this? Is this what it is? EVGO or Voda?
Well, eventually, if you guys list every company, you're gonna get it. But
higher or lower, closer or farther away? Close to an E?
Dun, 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 dun. You went over. That's. I wanna put that out on the video when I show the portfolio. So that'll be one reason to watch that video. If any of you guys are watching my 10K challenge videos. So this is the third week in a row. I will say this.
Oh my God, you went down that much again in the 10K challenge?
What?
We got almost back up to 10K, and then bam.
I was gonna say this is the third week in a row. Don't get it. This is the third week in a row. You don't know. This is the third week in a row. By Wednesday, I was in awesome shape and just got taken out on Thursday and Friday. But
oh my, it's insane.
it's a part of the deal. I'm not going to treat that account like a day trading account. Otherwise, it defeats the whole purpose of the 10K challenge. We could do another
got up to
account.
9,900. We went to 9,900.
And
then bam.
And Thursday and Friday happened. And I felt it coming, but I am not going to day trade that account. The whole premise of our 10K challenge is to be a long-term investor and, not to make that many trades, and certainly not to be day trading. So, I could have bailed on at the end of the day Wednesday and saved a couple $1,000, but I'm not worried. It's all stock, and I do have small options positions, but the majority is stock, and I averaged in. So I was able to take some of those profits, buy a stock I had never bought before that hit a 52-week low, and average into 2 other stocks that I have that also hit a 52-week low. So they were near their 52-week low when I bought them, and now they've hit a new 52-week low. But these are all stocks that are down. I think no, the one new one isn't, but the other 2 are down 90+% from their 52-week high. And they're, in my opinion, they're decent companies that are not only going to survive, but I think do well in the future. So at some point, sooner or later, the market will circle back around, and that'll be the place everything's going.
So Tom works with his brain. I work with my hands. I think that's the best way to explain it.
Yes, that's true. And your brain.
Yeah, I guess I work with my brain. I had my best week ever, so.
She's going on Tommy or George. Well, I guess only time will tell. George tends to have good fortune.
Yeah, I hate trading stock because stock goes against any logic that you have. I think what they said, and it's been true. Unfortunately, this statement is 100% true, and Tom probably doesn't want me to say it, but I'm going to say it anyways. It's not 100% true. It's probably 90% true. Whatever you go and study and you think you should do the exact opposite. If it go and you say, oh yeah, I'm going to buy this, thing's going to go through the roof, short it.
I think if you're a day trader or a highly active trader, I think there's some truth to that because, that there's a lot of, I'm going to say market manipulation, but whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of people pushing the market around in ways that don't necessarily make sense. So a lot of times in the short term, if you just do the opposite, but I'm more of a midterm to long-term investor. So Barry, thanks. 10K is brilliant maybe, and makes me feel slightly better on the bad days. See, that's right. Just look at my portfolio and you'll feel great.
This has been the funniest stream ever. You know that? Did you read the last comment? I think I'm prettier than Tom. It's just this video.
I'll date myself, but there was a song in the 80s. I got the brains and you got the brawn.
Let's make lots of money.
There you go.
Yeah.
We're old.
Yeah. 52. 52.
We remember the 80s and the 70s.
Yeah. I don't remember the 70s. You know what's funny is I actually hated the 70s. Back then and now.
Well, everybody hated the 70s. Somebody earlier mentioned stagflation. Well, I remember stagflation. We don't want that. That's not good.
Stagflation.
Oh, Jeff, the supermarkets are dividend stocks. Nice. There was a Bitcoin miner that wants to give a dividend, and I strongly disagree with that philosophy.
Which city are you clowns near? I'm south. I'm south of Tampa too. You guys, what is it? What is you just? It's just one of those humorous days.
I think it was. Everybody's glad this trading day is over because this was no fun. Some days are better than others.
OJ George, no offense. I don't know what that means. What does that mean, OJ George? What do you mean, Rob?
Yeah, Nate's saying overtrading is one of his weaknesses. I think everybody suffers from that. It's hard, though. Everything is so now, go in this world that, even if you've held on to, there's times you hold on to a stock for 3 months and you feel like you're a long-term investor. That's how what the world has turned into. But, 3 months is a short period of time. And that's one of the hardest parts with Bitcoin. It was moving so fast. We had Plan B out there spouting numbers to the moon. And that really set an expectation in 2021 that Bitcoin was going to run to, some big numbers. And the thing is, that's the thing about my position. I'm bullish on Bitcoin, and I have a couple of haters out there that continuously leave some messages. So that's okay. That's how it works. And they're saying, "Oh, you're always bullish." Well, I'm long-term bullish. I'll say, in plenty of my videos, I'll say, you know what? I think the next couple of days aren't going to be so good. But, I view that as a buying opportunity. Whether that's optimist or bullish, whatever you want to say, I believe very strongly that, I don't know what Bitcoin's going to be 60 days from now, but I got a feeling of what it's going to be 5 years from now. And that's what I'm focused on. And that's what I'm focused on with the Bitcoin mining companies, because they are a leveraged play on Bitcoin. So as Bitcoin gets to some ridiculous numbers, these mining companies are going to be just through the moon.
I think the only thing that scares me is they keep, going for more money and more money and more money.
Some of them are doing a lot of dilution, but, that's what CleanSpark is using their Bitcoin. There's a few of the new miners that are using their Bitcoin as well, and institutions are starting to lend them money. The Bitcoin miners, for a while, a Bitcoin mining machine from a banking standpoint was viewed as worthless. So they would not lend money against it. So the miners had no choice, and the prices accelerated rapidly last year, doubled, tripled. Dude, I mean, George, you remember we were trying to buy one for months, and they just every time you thought you knew the price, it went up $2,000. It was insane. And if the bank's not going to lend you any money, then you either got to sell your Bitcoin, which some people are doing now. But remember, for most of 2021, everybody thought, Bitcoin. In April of 2021, I bet you 90% of people that follow Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners would have bet that Bitcoin was going to end the year at 100,000 or more. So that's where everybody's mindset was. So they weren't selling their Bitcoin, but now people are changing their mindset. We don't know when Bitcoin's going to get to 100,000. So CleanSpark's saying, you know what? I'm going to be cash flow positive. I'm going to use the assets I have and get more machines and get more Bitcoin in the future. So
I might still buy some, because I'm looking at the 19Js. Compass Miner has a whole bunch for sale, and they're under 10 grand.
Barry's saying Hut sounds sensible for raising funds. Yeah, I mean, they went, what did they do, $65 million? That's so small for them. It's. I like Hut. I think they're doing a lot of great things. Marathon, if they could execute, they're going to be a monster. But they had another tough month, in my opinion. So You know, and that's very short-term thinking. I like Marathon in the long term. They have an incredible plan. They were really the leaders when people were laughing at them. You know, they went and secured 13.3 exahash of mining machines before anybody was doing any of this. And now they went out and got another 10 exahash past that. It's going to take them a while to get all that in. But they learned the simple lesson that everybody who's ever been in building already knows. They're constructing their own infrastructure, and whatever schedule they thought that was going to be on, things never finish on time. So that's been one of their biggest problems. They got, I think, 60,000 machines that they're sitting on. They can't plug in yet because their buildings aren't done being built. But that's how construction goes. So, but again, that's a short-term problem. That problem's going to go away, right? They're not going to never finish those buildings. They're just going to finish them 60 days later than they thought they were going to finish them. So their exahash is going to skyrocket. I mean, there's no question. And I like what Riot's doing. And Core Scientific is already at 7.5 exahash. Having said that, they did something very strange this week that hurt their stock badly. I don't know, did we even talk about that today? Is anybody invested in Core Scientific? I am. It's not a big position for me, but I had just started a position in that, and then they did something that I was not pleased at all with, but I didn't sell.
What did they do?
Their board of directors voted to waive the lockout period. So as of March 10th, everybody's going to be able to sell their Core Scientific stock.
Really?
And it was supposed to be 180 days. That's a massive change in policy. So I don't know why they did that. Maybe other people have done that in the past. I have not seen anybody waive a lockout period for this very reason, because you know your stock's going to tank, which Core Scientific did. You know, now it's in the 6s. It was up near 10. Yeah, we're saying Mara's leadership has a banking background, and they're building the template for these other companies. I think in a lot of ways that's true, and it's funny because, you know, they're really new to but everybody's new. You know, there's Hut and Hive and a couple others that have been doing this for a while, but other than that, you know, Marathon just started this about a year and a half ago, but they're now one of the leaders for sure, and they have their own pool. So, and that's that's going to be great news for them, but in the short term, I think they're getting the short end of the stick because they just don't have enough of those machines plugged in. And, you know, so the odds aren't as good. Jeffson Cores. All right, well, you probably know what they did then. Oh, I did not see the short report on Core Scientific. I can't even understand how somebody could put a short report out on them. I'll try to look for that and read it. I mean, I do strongly disagree with them ending the lockout period early, but other than that, I mean, those guys are the big dogs. They're bigger than everybody right now. Yeah, Mark's saying, why would anyone sell cores? I mean, I think a lot of people got upset and nervous that their stock in the short term, this is another short-term, long-term thing. Their stock in the short term did get decimated, and it may go down from here, but it doesn't change their long-term story, right? They're at 7.5 exahash. They're going to be double that by the end of the year, and they have a massive, I think, another 10 exahash of hosting by the end of the year. So, you know, they got multiple streams of revenue. They're a giant.
Wow. You should see. Remember when Daniel was helping us?
Yeah.
She did a market cap on 1110 of 21. and you want to see something. Oof. You don't want to see something.
No.
That's disgusting. To see what they did.
Thanks, Jeff. I will look. I want to read that thing. Rob, where do I think it'll end the week? I just said I don't even know where it's going to end the month or the. I'm hoping, it keeps. I'm watching it get lower and lower on my. It's at $39,004 right now.
Ooh.
Now it just went under 39,000.
Oh no.
So, I mean, it seems pretty much like it's headed towards 37,000 right now. But, if it wants to start that at 4 o'clock on Friday, as long as it finishes up by 8 o'clock Monday morning and it's back on track, then I'm okay with that. And there's nothing I can do about it either way.
Yeah, what can you do?
Somebody said I subscribed only so that I could ask, what is the constant tapping noises? There's music playing in the background. That might be what I don't know how that comes through to everybody else. There's like just some generic music playing very low in the background, and that might just be, maybe it's not coming all the way through and it just sounds like tapping. Can anybody hear the music? I think it pauses probably when, unless something else is going on that I don't know about. That's what I'm guessing it is.
Tap, 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 tap. Tap, 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 tap.
That's not it.
No.
I'm in Coors and Cleanspark. Both make me crazy with their price action. Agreed. Yeah, Coors moving the pipe lock update to the 10th is total. I can't understand why they did that. I mean, it'll all work out in the end, but that was not cool. That was unreasonable thing to do, in my opinion.
Maybe get rid of the Chirac because now this is so funny. It's been like this all day. This has been. No one wants to see. I'm saying we got 10 grand to go. By the way.
You think we're going down to 29?
Well, I think this is really the last month that they can really manipulate it. I don't know why I say it is the last month. I guess it's not the last month.
Well, 29 was the low of 2021. So I hope we don't revisit that, but I can't rule it out.
Dip, dip, dippity, dip, dip. Dippity, dip, 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 dip,
Mark is
dip.
saying anybody that sold on FUD, fake report, needs to learn to do better DD, and some risk tolerance training wouldn't hurt. And yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a very, if they're a day trader and they thought, I'll get out today and I'll get in at lower 3 days from now, that's one thing. But, if you change your position because of somebody else's short report, I have not. Short reports are the most unreliable thing ever. So they're usually wrong. I can't say they're always wrong, but they're very often wrong. And there's an agenda behind them oftentimes. So yes, everybody should. I say that in every video. Please do your own due diligence because it's your money. It's not whoever did the short report's money. It's your money.
Hey, they got another one. Explain one more time how the hedge fund operators work, Tom.
What?
About how they make you uncomfortable when you look at the metrics and you know where something is going.
Well, I mean, oftentimes, and that's why I'm using the word market manipulation, and it's not, maybe it's not manipulation, but they have enough money to push the market around, and they can inflict pain. and they can inflict it for a long enough period of time where they know they're going to get a certain significant amount of people to give up. And then that's when they're, when you're selling, they're buying. So I try very hard. I'll ride a stock to zero if I believe in them. If obviously if the story changes in the company and something happens, and I have an example of that. I have a company that I did several videos on. I was bullish on them. I believed things were going to work out, and I have changed my mind. And that company is Workhorse. And I know I was on my own island at the time being bullish on them, but they got a new CEO who seemed to really be on things. And now the funny thing is, now everybody just flipped last week. Now they're all bullish on Workhorse, and I flipped, and I'm not anymore. I'm very nervous. I don't know if anybody follows them at all, but basically they had to. The vehicle they make one vehicle, and they're canceling it. They're never going to make it again. So
it doesn't run. Here's the problem with electric vehicles, and nobody will tell you this, and I'll tell you it, because I bought a Model X. Is that what it is? The SUV Tesla? I bought a Model X, and I returned it. You want to know why? I bought it because I own a construction company, and I move wood around. And by now, I bought it 3 years ago, and by now it was supposed to be able to deliver wood by itself, which ain't happening. But here's why it's no good. It's because anytime you put any weight on these vehicles, your miles on electric goes way down. And they're finding that. I mean, the great example, what was the name of that truck that they pushed up to the top of the hill?
Oh, that was Nikola.
That's a great example. They have not been able to figure out to put load on these EV vehicles and make them work. I mean, they're great to run around town, but once you try to do this last mile and you throw, 10,000 pounds on the truck, it destroys their battery.
Well, and here's the proof that it's hard. And Elon Musk talked about this week because Rivian, I did a video on Rivian because they had a shocking event, and then 2 days of chaos. They had to raise their price dramatically. They have 71,000 reservations, and they sent everybody a letter saying basically, sorry, but your price is somewhere between 17 to 25% higher unless you want to wait 2 years to get your car. And then when you get it, it's going to have lower specifications than what you bought. So they came out the next day.
Hang on. We got a comment. Anytime you put weight on a vehicle, the miles reduction. LOL. Seriously, man. No, it makes it so it's not usable. Okay? You know those big semis that you put the gas in and then they go across the country? They're only stopping, I think, like one time or two times. These vehicles, you have to add more weight, which is more battery, to make it so you get any type of mileage where it's useful. The great example is Workhorse. Workhorse had to stop their vehicles because what they said would happen would not happen when you put the weight on the vehicles. And they
came right out and said we have an issue.
They said.
They said if everybody was just delivering bread, it would be fine. But if you're putting anything more substantial in that, the truck doesn't work. They recalled every single one they ever sold, and they said they were going to rework it and make it work. And I think they could have made it work, but they're running into, that was my point of the Rivian story, is that it's very expensive to get these cars to carry a heavy load. So Rivian has a truck, right? And that's going to be able to carry a load, but it's also going to be, $80,000 or $100,000. Well, Workhorse can't sell their last mile delivery vehicles for $80,000. So it just doesn't work for them. Anything can be done. It's just about money usually.
Yeah, that's the little secret that no one talks about with EVs, by the way, when you add this weight in. And yes, you're right that when you add weight on a car, that it does reduce the mileage, but it's proportionate. Great example. I know you'll love this vehicle. I have a Hummer, and guess what? It gets 10 miles to the gallon, whether it's pulling 6,000 pounds or just my fat ass. It does no different. It's 10 miles to the gallon. So when you gear a vehicle properly, it does not matter how much weight is on it. It usually stays the same.
I'm not an expert. I just listen to I listen to these conference calls, and I listen to what the the technical people are saying that are with the companies. So I'm going off of theirs, and Workhorse, they said they got a problem. We can't carry the load, but we're going to fix it. And now they came out and said, you know what? We really can't fix it. We're going to do another vehicle altogether completely different. And that's going to come out, next year or the year after. So
and that's another reason why this whole 2030 and going to electric vehicles, I'm going to be the first one to tell it on an open format. It ain't going to happen. You cannot, nope, sorry, ain't going to happen. No way to do it. Not going to happen. I mean, it's just, there has to be an advancement in battery technology, and the advancement hasn't happened yet.
I think there'll be more and more EV cars every year, but, it's going to take a long time to get, I don't know that we'll ever convert. And before we do convert, I think we talked earlier about hydrogen.
Hydrogen is the way to go. I mean, personally,
that's coming.
I think we're wasting our time with EV, and we should be focused on hydrogen. Personally, I think that again, if you don't go in a vehicle and drive for a long period of time, I had a great live example. I only know live examples. Another friend of mine bought a Model S, and he's driving from Atlanta, Georgia, to Savannah. Should work. The miles worked. He said, no problem. He gets to some place in the middle, and guess what? He didn't have enough miles to get there. So he had to pull over and get power from somebody, and he sat there for 2 hours. He was late to his appointment. That was a real life. That's a person that loves Tesla. That's a person who made a ton of money on Tesla. And I think you should buy Tesla personally. Not financial advice. But there's an example. They don't put it in a real case scenario, which is you take and turn the AC on, boom, the miles go down. You take and run the radio, boom, the miles go down. They're not putting it in real life examples for what you use your car for. And once they start doing that, it's a failed technology today. I'm not saying it's going to be a failed technology, tomorrow.
Well, the other side of this, and that's why I just bought an EV charging station stock, is because there's still 99% of the infrastructure yet to be built out on all of this. So, someday when you're low on battery, you're going to pull over like you do to the gas station. But today is not that day. Nate's saying that's another part of the conversation nobody talks about is just the time it takes to charge. And there's some faster charging now, but still, it's a totally different process. And that's the good thing about hydrogen. Although I think we're years away, hydrogen you will be able to pump into your tank exactly like you do your gas right now. You pull over, go to a hydrogen station, fill up in 5 minutes, and drive away. Right now, we don't live in that world with the EVs.
Oh, that's good to hear about Tesla. Tom loves Tesla, loves hydrogen cells. He's like, dude, I don't know why they're not using hydrogen cells now. And I can tell you why. It's because of the high pressure behind it.
Hydrogen's highly combustible, but those
boom.
Those are the kind of problems that's above my pay grade. They gotta solve that problem. But fuel cell and other companies have talked about they've solved that problem. They're not worried, and I do know that it's much more flammable, but I think they got to work around for that. Nate's saying it's not just the battery technology, but supply of necessary minerals. There's a lot of rare earth materials that go into these batteries that, are just what they sound. They're rare. So yeah, that's a big problem.
Yeah, I agree with that. 20, 30 minutes. And then the other problem is that there isn't enough of these stations, and they haven't. No one's helping Elon Musk. Develop the EV sector of these charging stations. One of the things that Tom mentioned to me, and again, I just remember what he said. I'm not that smart. He's like, "Do you know what type of infrastructure is set up for gas around this country? I mean, we're talking about. Do you think it's trillions? It has to probably
Absolutely.
be trillions of dollars, and that infrastructure has to be built out. And it's funny. It's 2022. That's 8 years away. Ain't gonna happen. Nope. 8 years away. We can't get anything done in 3 years. It would probably take, if we started today, we could probably get it done in 10 years.
I think there's going to be areas, obviously the west coast of the United States has a big head start. There'll be areas that build out the infrastructure. There'll be inner cities where they may be able to do that, in a high, densely populated area. But, it's a big world. There's an awful lot of EV stations that need to be built between now and the time we can all be driving these cars around. And Nate's saying, 5 minutes is a dream. 20 to 30 minutes is the fast charge. And that is tough. I just don't know that people are going to deal with that. I think there's going to be a lot of, you got to commute to work and they got an EV charger at work so you can drive to work, you can drive home, and if you're ever low, you can charge up. Some of those things are very practical, but, I don't think you're driving across country in an EV anytime soon.
And what gets me, and since, I'm just who I am, I can't change that, is that if we want to save our environment, which we should all work to do that, why the hell do we allow China to get away with what they're doing? Okay? So people that act like they're intelligent in the environmental studies do not understand that it is a global world. It's a world. And until we go after the big freaking polluters, it doesn't matter. Or until we go after these people flying corporate jets all over the place to buy a burger, it just is what it is. I mean, it's nothing we're going to do. Sorry. That's how I feel. Oh, by the way, I got to go. My jet's getting ready to take off.
Great. That's wonderful.
I'm joking. I don't have a jet.
Well, everybody should do whatever they can do responsibly within reason.
Amen.
I mean, that's a fair.
I agree with that statement. Yeah. It's fair.
Jeff's
Are you
waiting
ready
for
to wrap it
autonomous
up?
driving. Yeah, we were already long today, so thanks everybody so much for joining us.
It was an interesting chat tonight.
Yeah, we definitely had more fun than. That's because we didn't talk about Bitcoin. So.
But just remember, I mean, this is with the mining stocks. Gonna have to have diamond hands. You're gonna have to have that poker face, Ryan, and not tell your wife how much you're down. Just tell her how much you're up or how pretty her eyes are. That always works for me.
Sound advice from George.
All right, have a good evening, everyone.
Thanks. Yeah, everybody have a great weekend, and thanks again so much for joining us here and watching the videos and commenting. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you.